All right, joining us on the podcast today is Greg Fusco from Logs.io. He is global head of customer success over there. So appreciate you coming on today. And just wanted to talk a little bit here at the beginning about any of our audience who doesn't know about Logs.io. You could maybe dive into that a little bit and then just a little bit about your role day to day and the teams that you manage.
Yeah, awesome, Joe. Thanks for having me. So, yeah, as you mentioned, I run customer success at Logs.io. We're an observability company, so you can think of us as a smaller Datadog or Splunk, helping developers and engineering teams get to the root cause of their problems as quick as possible. I have a team overseas in the EMEA region, as well as a team based out of Boston here in the United States, in office with the Boston team, remote, obviously, with the EMEA team. And really, my day-to-day job is ensuring that our customers are receiving the value that they look for when they first sign on with us. And I know that's vague, but in the customer success world, that can mean a number of things. But essentially, our product's very technical. There's a lot of different features and ways that you can use it or one person could use it. And so for us, it's really critical that our customers understand everything they have at their fingertips and how to take advantage of those items.
Definitely. And I know that you mentioned the remote teams, obviously in Boston and then overseas as well. Do you ever get out there to visit those teams overseas?
So unfortunately, right now, I haven't had the chance to get over to EMEA. As you see, there's quite a bit of tension and conflict in the region, which has made air travel a little bit more difficult than we'd like. But I work really hard to make sure that even if you're thousands of miles away, that you do feel like you're part of the team. I work with other leaders over there who I had act as my proxy at times, especially for when the team needs to go out for a happy hour or they just
Yeah.
need some time to stress because I can't do that part of it, but making sure that they do feel connected is key. And we try to do that in as many different ways as possible, whether it's recognition at all hands, just one-on-one team meetings, all those sort of activities.
Definitely. And I guess the first question I wanted to dive in here with is a little bit more general. I think it's a kind of a good opener here and obviously touches on your past experience in the space is how have you seen the customer experience landscape either evolve or change just in the past year here? But also if you want to talk about past 5, 10 years since you started in.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I think 2025, much like 2024, we're seeing everything AI, right? And it's impacting how our customers are doing their work, and it's especially impacting us. We do our work and how we work with customers. What I'm really excited for are some of the innovative ways that AI is helping us get to really understand the health of our customers. In the past, you've had health scores that are very API based, and in some cases, they become check the box exercises, such as do we have a champion? Do we know the procurement? Have we done a training with the customer? But at the end of the day, the thing that's really going to show you where a customer lands on the satisfaction scale, if you will, is what they're telling you. What are they saying to you? So you see existing customer success products as well as new customer success products coming out to measure just that, the sentiment, what said, how are they communicating with you, and really getting it right from the horse's mouth. So that's something that I've definitely seen. The other push I've seen across the industry is to start combining roles. So I think as companies start to streamline their operations, when I started out as an individual contributor, for example, I worked with a contract manager, and this woman, Kate, would handle all the contract aspects of my customers. I handled all the technical and product adoption parts, and we were a great team. What I'm seeing now, those types of circumstances, is actually looking to combine the role. Can we make the CSM, even if they're very technically focused, able to take on some of that contract worth just because they already do have the relationships and there could be some overlap in those roles? All the way to combining potentially the account manager role with the CSM and having the CSM be more responsible for growth and having an actual growth quota attached to their book of business. So these are things that I've been seeing change this year, things that I feel a lot of organizations are starting to discuss. And I think those are the main ways that today things are changing in the environment.
For sure. And I guess with the kind of blending of roles there and how you think that's changing, do you ever see like any challenges there with the overlap in roles, whether it's burnout, or do you think they're enabled enough at this point, especially with AI, that they can succeed when they have additional? or the blending of roles?
Yeah, I think without enablement, it's just a plan with a name to it. Let's combine these two roles. It can be great to get the efficiencies out of it, but without truly enabling individuals, it might be much more difficult than it looks like on paper. Especially where I am now, I actually run a team of customer success engineers. So customer success managers, but incredibly more technical than your average CSM just because of the nature of our product. So they are hands and keyboard, writing script, API calls, digging through environments. And for folks, that's really what they enjoy. They love to be in the middle of that technical work. So for them to now potentially own a quota or own growing business and be maybe a little bit more on the sales side of things is a vast difference. And while I see some folks who would rather stay just focused on their engineering side, there is a lot of appetite from others who want to stretch themselves and grow that skill. But it's exactly that. It's a skill that needs to be grown. So whether you're taking non-technical people and making them technical or vice versa is key. And that's something that we've taken on at Logs.io as well, where we have noticed where we've have gaps in on both side of things, and then work cross-functionally and gathered subject matter experts to really learn from each other and try to fill those gaps so we can have that motion.
Definitely. So a specialized CSM, if you will. Nice. And I guess when you're looking at scaling teams and hiring, what are you looking for in the differences between a CSM and a CSE?
Yeah, and this was something I had to learn on my current role because previous I was with traditional CSMs, and I can explain at least my perspective on that. But before I dive into that, I think I am not alone in the fact that I did not go to school for customer success. I still don't think it's an offered degree in like
Yeah.
college days. So customer success managers come from a variety of backgrounds. My background was in finance and investment management. I've worked with history and art majors, biology majors. And so what I really find is that all of us, or a lot of us, came from non-technical roles, yet we are very successful in what we do. And most of us work with technical products. So I think what that shows you is, for the most part, technology can be taught. If you have the right mentality, the growth mindset, you want to be challenged, you want to learn, anyone who has the skills, especially on regular non-technical customer success team, but even in my current team, I am valuing that over the technical abilities. I can train someone on our product. I had to learn our product when I joined. I can't necessarily train someone how to motivate themselves or how to find something that innately isn't a passion of theirs or in their blood. So for CSMs and CSEs, I do look at the EQ side of things in terms of, do you have those qualities I just mentioned? And also, do you genuinely care? I find that this is discussed a lot and it's easy to overlook it. But if you're in customer success and you're just going through the motions, you and your customers might find some success, but you're never going to hit your full potential, and neither are they. You have to have people who genuinely care and desire to see other people successful and that want to commit to that cause. So hiring for that is really important. And then, yes, depending on how quickly an organization needs to get someone ramped up, there are times where you might deviate from that and say, I need a person who understands this technology because I need them ramped up in 2 weeks and I can't teach them this technology in 2 weeks. So you do have your outliers, but in general, looking for that EQ. And then when the technicality really demands it, potentially leaning more into some of those technical skills.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think obviously, even the most motivated CSM or CSE, I think at times, depending on the workload or whatever it may be, can get unmotivated. I guess, like in those times, is there anything that you do to help motivate your team, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, no. So we've definitely had our ups and downs, just like every other company. So you have your highs where everyone's happy, and then you have your lows. And as a leader, I think one of my biggest, if not my top priority, is taking care of my team. Now that could be protecting them, enabling them, removing challenges, but keeping them motivated when they might not have that on their own is really important. So one of the things that I do, I think like most leaders, is I get to know my team as soon as I join an organization, right? The first 30 days is just me getting to know them, starting to show that they can trust me, and also getting them to me to trust them. In that process, I think it's very easy for most of us who go through that to pick up on this person is probably motivated by this item. This person is probably self-motivated. What I now consciously take the time to do, especially when a newcomer joins the team, is ask that individual what motivates them. And when I started doing this exercise, I came to find that on one hand, the things I thought my team was motivated by, I wasn't off. I had a lot of them correct. But they also were able to show me things that I had never thought of. And for example, when you might be having a down quarter and you know you're not going to have a really good churn number, right? And it's tough to get through that quarter because of the loss that's going to happen. How else can that individual grow? What else can that individual do besides just working on their business, their book of business, that might still make them feel motivated and growing? So with some of my CSEs, they're incredibly into our product to where they like to pick it apart and find ways that it could be maybe done better. And so with them, it was really cool and motivating to have a bigger say with our engineering teams and to work directly with them when they had the time. So we've aligned some of our CSEs to be that dedicated conduit between us and the product team. And they feel that they have that impact now and they see how our roadmap changes because of the work they do. We have others that this might be their first role out of college. So while we do give them a great onboarding and training experience, there are other components of their knowledge base that they're going to need to stretch and grow that maybe at Logs.io I can't offer them. So working with them to understand where do they want to learn, what are the skills they want to develop. Maybe it's something EQ related. I want to build my confidence. Maybe it's IQ related. I want to learn Amazon Web Services better. But providing those opportunities for them to learn is a huge motivator. I also I put a big effort in being very transparent with my team from my leadership all the way on down. I'll admit I probably walk a very fine line in sharing too much, but it is something that the team really appreciates and has come to me and said, this is so important for me to see and hear, not delayed, not from a second or third source. And sometimes it's bad news, but sometimes it's great news. And when they can see, wow, we did an activity and this is what it's led to, that otherwise they might not have visibility into, it makes them feel much more connected. And that's also a way I try to drive motivation.
For sure. And I think that's great that you enable being able to pull out of different buckets. Let's say on the retention side, it was a down quarter and they're getting a little bit discouraged. Being able to hop over to some different buckets or other roles and be able to work on different projects, I think is great. Awesome. And leading into the next question there, how do you think, or I guess what's one major challenge right now that you don't think customer experience leaders are prepared for just over these next few years?
And this kind of goes back to something I've been seeing, and I think a lot of us have been seeing over the last few years, but particularly this year with, I think, some of the macroeconomic volatility we've had in the past 12 months, let's say. And that is having to start quantifiably justify the activities and the cost of a customer success organization. When customer success first came onto the scene, it was something that companies clamored to add. They could see that, hey, customers with a customer success manager tend to be healthier, tend to renew more often, tend to grow faster. But quantifying that was always a bit of a challenge, especially in accounts that might be really happy and satisfied, but there's no specific KPI that can show that or that can show an increase in their revenue, their health score, what have you. Now we do see, or at least I've seen, organizations being asked to quantify that to a dollar value, right? Companies don't want customer success just to be a cost center. This is also a reason why we do see that combining of roles, because if you start giving CSMs quotas and growth quotas and things of that nature, you're naturally going to have those numbers and those dollars to compare to and say, are we performing? Are we not performing? Are we helping towards the bottom line? This is really challenging for two reasons. The first, it's a qualitative role. It always has been. The question of what is the CSM's day-to-day role, it changes moment to moment, right? So moving from the qualitative to the quantitative, I think is something new for the organization. And then the other thing that might come along with that is that CS in general has always been able to position themselves as that customer advocate who's there for them no matter what, because they aren't part of sales. When I was an individual contributor, I could set a room at ease by saying, when I'm recommending this to you, please know whether you take it or you don't take it, I take home the same amount of money. I don't have skin in the game. I'm giving you this advice because I think it's the best move for you. Once a customer starts knowing that, hey, this individual has a growth quota, this individual is also now looking to grow this account and increase my spend, I worry that we might start taking away from that independent advisor perspective. And I think that is a challenge that is new. So in that sense, we're not prepared for it yet. But like any challenge, I do see it as one that eventually we'll figure out a way to overcome.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. And do you think there's any guidance there from you? I guess you mentioned it's hard to quantify that. There's not many specific like KPIs that can. What would you say as like guidance or advice for maybe teams that are looking to do that and maybe what you're trying out on your side?
Yeah. So obviously the number one KPI is going to be dollar value, dollars generated, and hopefully not dollars lost. We have started a slow roll in my organization where the CS team right now does not have an official quota, but we are aware of situations where it is the customer success manager specifically and on their own identifying an opportunity. Now, once that opportunity is identified, we might need to call in a sales engineer. We might need to bring in a team to help run a POC or what have you. But it's arguable that without the conversation and the digging that the CSE had done, we would have never found out about this opportunity.
Right.
So when that happens, we now actually have the CSEs go into Salesforce, find that opportunity, and there's a checkbox now that says CSE identified. And this is the first step without putting pressure on the CSMs and without changing that independent advisor role that they are in, for us to start saying, these are the opportunities that CS uncovered without the assistance of sales. And for the ones that close, here's the dollar value. So it's like a baby step. Depending on how that goes, if it's gangbusters and we start seeing that there's real potential here to move the needle, I can see us moving, like many organizations, to adding a small growth component to their commissions or things of that nature. But to be fair, and as we're learning and flying, building the plane mid-flight as well, that was our way to slow roll it. And it's a low pressure way, I think, to initially test out the water.
Yeah. And have you seen that help out so far? Obviously, if this is a new thing, not sure where you're at with that, but just beginning stages, how has that gone so far for you guys?
Yeah, so definitely in the early stages, not a vast data set to speak to, but we definitely have identified opportunities as a customer success org. And I think besides the byproduct of obviously it could be more revenue for the company, best things I see it is the excitement that it generates in the CSE when they are the ones finding the opportunity. This no longer feels like a reactive support play or fixing a problem for the customer. It's actually a problem that they were able to identify, come up with a potential solution for, invite that customer to work with them. And then once they're on the ground, you feel like that trusted advisor. You feel like you're delivering that relationship and that value that you always wanted to. And while we're still nascent, just the excitement it brings for a CSE who's never sold anything before to be like, wow, I found this opportunity. It closed. Customer's really happy. I drove that.
Yeah.
That in it is worth it.
Yeah. I think that's great. And switching gears here a little bit more towards the AI side. I know it's really hot button topic, but I did want to cover it a little bit in today's call. What would you say is the most significant way AI has transformed your customer experience strategy just over the past year or two here?
Yeah, in quite a few ways. I would say that from a customer experience standpoint, let alone our strategy, it's dramatically changed how they use our product as well as how they are enabled. So we recently added a first of its kind AI agent into our tooling. And it really takes the jobs that our DevOps customers and site reliability engineer customers have and makes it a world easier. Analysis that used to take 4 or 5 hours now is taking them minutes. And so just in that, we're changing how our customers work, let alone use our product. The other thing that it's allowed us to do from more of that strategy experience is we have many customers who do have a CSE dedicated to them, but we also have a large growth segment that we've had to find automated ways or more low touch ways to support. With our agent, we've actually now been able to incorporate it into our documentation and into our support documents, enablement documents. So instead of going into the platform and just being able to ask it a question about your environment, you can also ask it how would I build this dashboard? What's the best way to go about securing this piece of information? Why am I not seeing what I expect to see when I refresh this report? And that is allowing our customers who might not want to go to our website and want to live in the platform, or because they're already there, it's easier, get easy, quick information on whatever it is they need without necessarily involving that human high touch or having to reach out to support and waiting for a response. The other way that we've used it is actually just on our own support team, right? We're able to do much better in analytics on terms of the types of tickets and requests that we're getting, which is allowing us to better serve our customers. We started doing these analyses whereby we see that 90% of a customer's tickets have revolve around one issue. Then maybe we need to do a specific training or enablement for that customer there. We're still scratching the surface, but already we're seeing the efficiencies that AI is leading to. And I think our customers are enjoying it as well.
Definitely being able to like identify trends a lot easier on the support side. Yeah, I think that's great. And then just really quick, last question that I wanted to ask, just because I think we're almost at time here, was about your overall experience and kind of what you're most proud of in your career. It could be something recently on your team or just when you started out.
Yeah. So there are a lot of technical things that I've accomplished in the past and initiatives I've run with customers that I'm very proud of. But especially in the last couple of years in leading teams, I think one of the things I'm most proud about is one of the things, frankly, I was most scared about. And that is building a team from scratch or bringing new people onto that's already existing. And is there going to be chemistry? Is it going to work? Are you going to have the challenges? Are you bringing the right people in? Did you make a right call by taking a chance on someone who doesn't have the technical skills? So what's been most rewarding for me, and again, where I think my top priority is the team, has been building teams that not only I can look back and say, hey, you know what? I think I've built a good team here. Everyone's really coming together. Everything's really strong. But when you start hearing from the marketing team, from the sales team, from the product team, when they start coming to you without you provoking the question or having to ask and just unannounced say, the team you've put together has really helped us in XYZ type of way. Maybe it's getting a better understanding of customers, building the better product because we have a better feedback conduit now. Whatever the case is, you always want to make sure you're having the best impact possible. So to build teams from scratch, to augment teams, and to have it been relatively successful where people are happy, motivated, it's a great environment, but you're impacting the company as a whole. It's not easy to do. It does really come down to that EQ and human element, but that's what I'm most proud about. And I'm most proud about the individuals I lead and the work that they do.
Definitely. So it sounds like you've made a pretty big impact there, and obviously the other teams know it. I guess last question I wanted to ask here, just because I was curious on the remote side, has it ever been tough to build that culture in a remote environment, or is it pretty easy for you?
No, it has its challenges. Like I said, one of my teams is thousands of miles away and 7 hours ahead of us. Admittedly, on that team, it took maybe double the time to really feel like I had the strong relationships with them. So if it took me 2 or 3 months here on the ground in the United States, it could have taken me up to 6 or 7 months with the folks in EMEA. It's just you can have virtual meetings all day long. You can be on Zoom or WebEx, but that human element, that human touch just isn't there. And when it's not, it's incredibly hard to strengthen those relationships. And you also miss the moments in between the meetings where you might just see someone sitting by themselves at lunch and be like, hey, what's going on? Everything okay? I don't have the ability to do that when I'm as far as I am. So those are challenging times. And it's a challenge that was not easy to overcome. I think my recommendation there is just dedication to being there as much as you can. Stretching, in my case, it's stretching my hours and in certain days starting incredibly early here so that I can have more face time with my team in EMEA. It's being sure to ask about what's going on in their personal lives because especially remote, your meetings are going to be focused on work and then see you later. And you don't ask what's going on. Does your wife have a doctor's appointment that you need to drive her to? Does your kid staying home sick from school? So making sure to double down on those areas as well has helped. And I am in a place now where I feel that I have really good camaraderie. People are signing up, calls me like, I love you, brother. Always great seeing you. So we've got there over the last 2 years, but it was definitely a slower roll with the overseas team. And I think naturally.
Yeah, I think it definitely takes a little bit of time in a remote environment. I know that when I traveled here in the past few months to a conference, I don't get to see my team a lot in person, but when I did, it definitely helped out. I think it's obviously a little bit tougher over Zoom calls and things like that, but like you mentioned, it's definitely possible. It just takes a little bit more time. Awesome. So I think that was all the questions that I wanted to ask. I guess before we go, was there anything that you just wanted to leave the audience with today? A piece of advice, the way that you think customer experience is going here in the next 5 years, or just anything that you wanted to leave or end off with here?
Yeah, I think going back to our conversation at AI, it's going to augment and change industries' lives. It already has in so many ways. But one of the things that I think a lot of us can agree with is that humans still clamor for that human element, right? If I have to call my cable company for support, I'm often given the choice talk to a AI agent now or wait 40 minutes for a real person. I will wait the 40 minutes still, right? I'm still haven't trusted that this AI agent is going to be able to like resolve everything and that it won't be a waste of my time, especially in customer success, where it's your job to make your customer successful. That is going to be more true than ever. And so I think my advice to anyone getting into the space is yes, use AI for all its efficiencies and the great ways that it can augment your work so you can focus on what's important. But it would, I think, be detrimental if we started thinking, at least for now, where the technology is, that this could replace an individual. This can replace that human element, the relationship that customers build with their customer success managers. Keep that human element. That's my advice.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like that's a trend that I've been seeing in a lot of these in my podcast episodes is the human touch. Even though things scale with AI and they'll continue to scale, the human touch is not going to go away. So, yeah, I 100% agree there. Greg, I appreciate you joining on today. It was great talking to you. Hopefully, we'll chat again.
No, it was a great chance to talk with you again. I'm glad we got to catch up. And anytime you want to do it again, let me know.
Awesome. Thanks, man.